everything. They
This is Zola's Cafe, located in the heart of Auburn, Washington. It's a small cafe with a nice scene. The owner, Matt, purchased it earlier this year in February of 2020, right before the pandemic hit. He reached out to us in order to grow his business and get his life back on track. We're here to help him with consistency, improving the menu, and making things more customer facing. Welcome to the ReBrand.
Well, it's been very, very difficult with the coronavirus. I took ownership 3 weeks before the virus hit, so those first 3 weeks were amazing. I mean, I was seeing people that I haven't seen in 20 years. I mean, people from high school I haven't seen. Everyone was so supportive coming out and supporting, you know, local kid comes back home and buys the cafe. Then the virus hits and just everything stopped, you know, very slow. There's a lot of things I wanted to do, but just financially, it's very difficult to take that money and spend it when you don't know what your business is going to do the next day. So it's little things. We've been doing little things that, you know, cleaning, organization, you know, working on menu items, tweaking recipes, that kind of stuff that doesn't cost money. So there's, you know, I'd love to paint the place, but I'm gonna wait until we figure out when this virus will end, and then do it when things get back to normal.
What do customers mean to you?
Everything. They I get a little emotional because it's been a struggle, and they're the ones that are keeping the doors open, and they come in and tell me, thank you for keeping the doors open, but it's really them. And a lot of them come in 4 or 5 times a week, and it means so much. They go above and beyond, and especially during this holiday season when we have the second shutdown. You know, it's hard. I mean, it's hard knowing that I have bills and rent and payroll, and I don't want to cut my employees' hours, but I have to. You know, I have to keep the doors open, and I got to do what I can. And you know, hopefully, you know, in a month or two, things brighten up and we find a vaccine and we move forward. But that's all we can do is just play it day by day. So my guests mean everything to me.
True. I completely agree with you.
Oh, okay. My name's Heather. I work at Action Tattoo. That's down the road. I come here pretty much every day I'm working.
Why is that?
To talk about how much I love Zola's.
Why do you love it?
Lots of reasons. Like before, I really loved it because they did have vegan options, but I love it so much more now because they actually put a lot of love and thought into their vegan options. And their coffee's really good. It's the best one that I found in the area. So when Matt bought the place, it's kind of hard to explain. Like they did put some love into their vegan options before and thought like they had just unique stuff that you can't really find anywhere. I know one of the ones that they had was like a mushroom pot pie, and I can't really find those anywhere, you know. But when Matt bought out the place, he started like really thinking about like how can I make this better? How can I make vegans have like more options and, you know, have the best quality of food? And he really listens to us too. Because I'll come in here and I'll be like, oh, maybe you could do that. And he's really good at communicating, and like, it's just really awesome to have this option around, especially in this location. I think when I came in here and they had the new staff right after the pandemic, and I noticed one of them was vegan, so that means that I can trust them like to make my coffee, and I can trust that they're not, you know, putting stuff that I don't want into my food. So that made me really happy. I feel like they relate to me, you know?
Yeah. I mean, what does Zola's mean to you? I mean, just living here and having your own food available.
So it means a lot because being in Auburn and not having like a way to prepare food myself, like I can come down here and I can have like really healthy, well thought out food with quality ingredients, and that's really important for me right now. Like especially working so close, there's barely any options. So it's good to have something new and different every day, but also healthy. He bought this place 2 months before a pandemic, and like he still has the same charm that it had before, but it's just better. Like you can tell that he cares a whole lot more about this place. He's been working day and night. Like what he's doing is, I respect it. Like,
You excited for the new items that are going to be introduced?
yes. I'm excited literally every time Matt tells me that he's gonna have something new, because I know it's gonna be good. I haven't had anything not good from here ever.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to episode 3. We're back at Zola's Cafe, and today we're talking about how we can improve Zola's social media. I challenged my team, Jesse and Marcel, to come up with one idea, a posting, a video, anything for their social media that Matthew and his crew can repeat, something very easy. And I wanted to solve 2 problems. One, stay relevant to the cafe, stay relevant to the brand, stay relevant to what Matthew is doing. 2, be really helpful for the audience, because right now their social media before we came in was mostly just food, right?
Yeah, kind of just pictures of food and asking people to come in. But yeah.
So
And also probably a third thing I want to add on there is being able to leave some recommendations for Matthew and his team to continue doing when we move on to other projects. So the idea I was going to present with Matthew, I'm glad you guys are listening to this, is the idea of actually posting about different types of recipes online. So the way I think of this, like on social media, like Facebook, it's going to be like your own designed ingredient list for your own recipe. You can talk about how he's adding it in, how he's cooking it, perhaps make some short videos about it. But what this does is it makes it entertaining for the audience. The audience can learn about like new foods, how to make something in their home, and it's very educational for them. So this actually also translates into the ingredients and like how to use those different like spices and what actually goes together seasonally.
So they would post a picture of food, and then on the description would be the ingredients, or how would they tailor? How would you do that?
I would leave it as like maybe perhaps a small description at the top about what the food is, how it's going to taste. Below that with a recipe list, all the ingredients, and then just the cooking instructions on the bottom of it. If he's making this at home himself, he could just take some quick pictures and post the process, or perhaps do a short video clip.
Okay.
Would that be for like Instagram, like a carousel type thing of like different steps?
Yeah.
Or
So
is
would it
it
be
like
one
a
photo?
story? Or
Like a really
okay.
That would be another option for Instagram as well. I mean, I think, does it go up to 6
Insta-
photos
So
on
Instagram, you can post Instagram, and then you can have it post the same post onto the Facebook. Right? So
Yes.
if you're going to post on Instagram, which I highly suggest Matthew to post on the Instagram, and then tap the button that will like simultaneously post onto Facebook. So essentially it'll be one posting, but it goes to 2 channels. So what you're saying is one photo essentially, or
multiple photos.
in
the process.
one posting?
Yes.
Okay, so like a carousel type.
Yes.
Got you. If you guys don't know what a carousel is, I'll link a video to what carousels are. Chris Doe, he explains, he has a really, really detailed explanation of what carousels are, and it's what I've really focused my attention to when going to like social media postings, because they have actually had like a lot of studies. He himself has done a lot of A/B testing on it, and he's gone from like, you know, I think 10,000 followers to I think over 200,000, just simply by focusing his time on the carousels. But the 2 main things were like, has to be relevant and helpful, right?
Yeah.
So yours is it does cross off both of those checklists. It's relevant, it's the food, and it's helpful because it's helping people with the ingredients, right? If they wanted to try to make this food on their own, right?
And keeping it easy and something that Matthew and his team can post themselves as we move on. And then I look forward to actually like seeing the A/B testing numbers down the road. We're going to show you some video clips of what real progress looks like as you start to implement these types of recommendations.
Yep. So great, that's a great idea, Marcel. Yeah, thanks for that. Thanks for sharing that.
My
Jesse's
idea,
next.
yeah, my idea was very similar as far as like showing ingredients and different recipes, but it was a little bit shorter and more concise. So my favorite part of cooking is actually knowing kind of how different ingredients go together and how you can achieve different like flavors and textures that like you wouldn't ordinarily think of. So I think my favorite thing that we tried last week was actually the pizza with it had Brussels sprouts and the vegetarian one. Yeah. But my favorite part of that was like the nuts that he had added. So you get that like kind of unique texture without getting like a super nutty flavor. And I think just having that information so that you can repeat something like that at home, but also he can showcase that his recipes are unique. It's not just like this bland pizza. Like when you bite into it, you get a crunch and like you get this like kind of like not a lot of people put nuts on pizza.
Yeah. So this sounds like taking advantage of like perhaps his culinary skill set.
Exactly.
And just being able to describe these flavor profiles and what works together that a lot of people don't know.
Yeah.
Like paprika, for instance, I know the flavor, I know it tastes good, maybe smoky, but I don't know what else other spices to really use it with. So if he was sharing stuff like that and what it goes with, I think it would really improve my cooking skills at home.
Yeah, and also he can highlight some of his more unique options. Like he has habanero donuts. They're not spicy though.
I'm trying that today.
They're not spicy, and people like see habanero and they're like, "Oh my gosh, this is gonna be hot. Like maybe I don't want this." But it just kind of has that unique flavor that habanero has without the like burning your mouth.
Yeah.
And so people, I think, kind of steer away from that if they don't like spicy food, or potentially try it if they do like spicy food, and then they're like, "Oh, this isn't hot."
Yeah.
So like just having that like, "Hey, this is a flavor," not necessarily like.
That actually would be a cool posting. Like, let's post up a habanero donut, and then it's kind of like that whole. Like, I'm a huge fan of juxtaposition. Juxtaposition, right? That hot, and then it's not hot, right? It's really, really spicy pepper, but it's a dessert.
Yeah.
Right? I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I think that would be a really cool post, and I think you should post that today, actually.
I will.
So, let's go over it again because I kind of got lost, but it's basically you want to post photos.
Yeah, photos. So it would be a little bit more concise than like your thought of like full recipes that people can do at home, but just more like education on new things to try in existing recipes that like you might have.
Okay. So give us an idea of like what you would do.
So, that's a good question. So like even like, so you know, a lot of people do homemade pizzas or whatever.
Okay.
You can have like, hey, try these different ingredients. This is going to make your pizza stand out. And so we'll have maybe a picture of his, like the pizza that we tried last week with the Brussels sprouts and the nuts on it, and say like, here's what's interesting about our pizza.
Awesome.
This is why it's different. This is why we are leading in the, you know, pizza category.
Right.
So it's almost like you want to inspire whoever's seeing it to create, not necessarily recreate that one, but maybe inspire them to create their own with like wild flavors.
Yeah.
Oh,
and then be like, I picked this up from Zola's.
Cool. Yeah.
I also want to add on to that. And this going back to like what Matt was trying to share with us is that he likes to use things seasonally. So also, if you're sharing ingredients, perhaps you can talk about the seasonal items, the what's hot, and what actually goes together.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
too.
Yeah, love it. Okay, so my idea was a little bit, it's still relevant to Zola's. It's not necessarily like recipes or trying to get people to try things, but it kind of is. So let's go ahead. So my thing was, why don't I create some kind of a posting to try to get all those meat eaters to come in and not necessarily eat the food with meat, because I'm a meat eater and I'm always like, I gotta have meat, otherwise I'm not full. But
I feel the exact same way.
Right. was just like,
You need more beans.
So I was gonna challenge like meat eaters with his vegan food, right? Take a picture of it and like, hey, here's these amazing cauliflower tacos. And then I was gonna create a carousel like, hey meat eaters, scroll through. Here's these cauliflower tacos, scroll through. There's no meat, scroll through. It's delicious, scroll through. Come try it. Scroll through, last picture would be a meat eater eating that cauliflower taco, like maybe me. And then Jesse was like, it would be cool if you had like a T-Rex costume eating it. And I was like, that is hilarious. We laughed at it first.
Yes, no,
And then
yes,
we kind of thought about
we
it.
should
We're like,
implement that.
Get that
Yeah,
viral
like-
picture.
yeah. And then that's something like they could repeat. He could have like he could literally have a T-Rex costume here, you know, and take pictures of the meat eaters that come in and like, hey, you know, want to try this vegan taco, right?
You could do a whole campaign with the dinosaur, like eating different foods on the
Exactly.
patio and
Yeah.
driving up in his Prius.
Yeah. So that was my idea. So those are 3 ideas, and you know, for next episode, we're gonna try to implement those ideas. We're really gonna I'm gonna have Marcel go create his post. Jesse's gonna go create her post. I'm gonna create my post. We're gonna post them up, do some A to B testing. I guess this would be considered A to B testing.
Are there any ground rules? Like, are you
Nope.
limiting it to carousels or videos?
No, you
or,
can do whatever you
all
want.
right.
Do whatever
I'm
And
excited.
What is A/B testing?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, sure. I don't know what it is. I don't necessarily know what it is, but go ahead. and explain. I mean, I know what it is. I just
Talk
don't-
about it all the
I'm
time.
the worst at like articulating my
Okay.
words, so I'm gonna let Marcel handle it.
A/B testing is creating content and then measuring the data against each other. So, for instance, you'd have a recipe posted on Facebook, and you'd be able to track like how much impressions it leaves with your audience, or how many people have clicked the links. So, what you want to do is actually capture those numbers over, like, let's say, a period of a week, and over the second week, you would change the content, how much is actually written and how it's written. And then that would be a second test. So the first one was A, and this one would be like B. So what you're trying to do is compare the numbers and the impressions from the last week to the next week. And you want to see the growth potential behind these different posts.
And do you want to change like one thing, or do you want to change a lot of things when you're A/B testing?
To do the A/B testing, you want to submit like small changes. That way you actually know what is actually working.
Yeah.
It could be like a minor keyword change or a sentence structure, perhaps a picture you want to like change up. You know, you'll have like a Facebook post or Instagram post carousel. Whatever picture you have in front is basically going to lead your audience down a story.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's better than I
That
could
was a
explain
good way to explain
so
it.
we're gonna go ahead and cut it there. We're gonna go and create our posts for Zola's Cafe for Matthew, and then at the end we're gonna let him choose which one would be a lot easier for him and his crew, and for them to, because at the end of the day, you know, this is all great, but if they can't repeat it, right? If they can't go and mimic what we did, all our efforts are kind of like out the window, right? So at the end, we have to keep it simple, right? Don't forget those. Keep it simple, KISS, right? Keep it simple, Sue. I live by that because it just makes life easier. And you know, I want Matthew to be able to do this, or like Alex is gonna take over his social media, and I want her to be able to see like our vision for Matthew's, and it has to be doable. So we're gonna go and create those. We'll catch you guys in episode 4 of the rebrand.
Yeah, of the implementation, and we'll show you some numbers on that as well.
Yeah. So
Cool.
any last words?
No. Peace.
I feel like I need a one-liner that's
Yeah.
really cool, but I don't.
That's
I'm not
it right
good at
there.
that.
That's the one-liner. We're just gonna repeat that the whole time.